Pugs of the Frozen North time. Time for chapter 8. Now, last chapter we saw Shen and Seika were attacked by the mighty kraken that came up through the ice below them, but the Pugs managed to nip at all the tentacles and it went away. Mind you, they're back in last place because Shackleton Jones just overtook. I wonder if they'll improve their position in chapter 8. Here we go. Chapter 8. All through the night and all through the following day the race went on, and all sorts of adventures and accidents befell the other racers. Look, this team found themselves on top of a walrus. There's someone, I wonder if you know who he is, and he's painted a doorway on a flat thing, like in Roadrunner. What's happened to this? Look, Mitzi Von Prim is having a selfie with one of her polar bear team. And who's that creeping up? Oh yeah, it's the charity one who are doing it dressed as a zebra. They're having a problem. All through the night and all through the following day the race went on, and all sorts of adventures and accidents befell the other sleds. Before long there were only 5 sleds left. Sir Basil Sprout-Dumpling was in the lead thanks to a map his father had drawn which showed shortcuts between the rocks and islands of the frozen sea. But Helga Hammerfest was not far behind, and Mitzi Von Prim and Shackleton Jones were catching up fast. Shen and Seika were right at the back, of course, so far behind the others didn't even know they were still in the race. On the third night, when Sideplate stopped the sled, Sir Basil could hear the baying of Mitzi's team behind him. It sounded as though she'd overtaken Helga Hammerfest. "Those blighters are going to catch us soon, Sideplate," he complained. "Our lead does appear to be narrowing, sir," agreed Sideplate. Sir Basil rubbed his mittens together gleefully. "Well, we'll soon get rid of them. Time for Operation Detour." "Are you sure that's quite necessary, sir?" asked Sideplate. "Of course it is. If I don't make it to Snowfather first, my fortune is finished. Get to work." Sideplate sighed and did as he was told. Out of the bundles at the front of Sir Basil's sled he fetched an inflatable signpost, which he pumped up with a bicycle pump. "There," said Sir Basil. "That should get rid of the others. You know where that'll take 'em, Sideplate?" "No, sir." "No, of course you don't. That's because I've been studying my father's map and you haven't. It will lead them straight to the Lost Hope. Daddy saw it from a distance when he came all this way about those years ago. He told me about it. A few of the other competitors went to have a closer look, and they were never seen again." "How troubling, sir." "Not for us, it's not. The more of that shower we can get rid of, the easier we'll win. Come on, Sideplate, onwards to the pole." "Very good, sir," said Sideplate unhappily. He turned on the small portable snow machine on the back of Basil's sled. White flakes covered their tracks as they sped away. The sign stood where they left it. Soon Mitzi Von Prim's sled came up, speeding up, turned sharp left, and followed Sir Basil's detour. Close behind came Helga Hammerfest, who also turned left, and then a little later Shackleton Jones arrived. "Thin ice," he said. Better take the detour, Snowbot." "I am not detecting thin ice ahead," said the robot. "It is safe to proceed due north." Still, better not take any chances, eh?" After that, it was very quiet for a long time. The night grew colder and colder. It grew so cold that pieces of the northern lights froze and fell out of the sky. They lay strewn about on the ice, glowing gently. At last, Shen and Seika arrived at the detour sign. There it is, the inflatable detour sign telling them to go round that thin ice. What a fiendish trick. If Seika had been driving, she would have known at once that the detour was a trick. Her grandpa had told her enough stories of his race. She knew there was no such thing as thin ice. Not that far north, not in a true winter. But Seika was not driving. Seika was asleep. She was wrapped up in furs and leaning against the dog food bin. When Shen saw the signs, he turned left at once, following the tracks of all the other sleds. The paws of the scampering pugs threw up a mist of powdered ice. It blew into Seika's sleeping face and woke her. She saw the big gold moon lying on the horizon far ahead and knew at once they were going the wrong way. "Why have we turned?" Shen explained. "That can't be right," she said. "We must turn back." Shen tried to turn the sled, but by then the pugs were moving more and more slowly. That last burst of speed which woke Seeker had tired them out. The sled came slowly to a halt. The little dogs flopped down in sleepy heaps. "We can't go any further tonight," said Shen. He got down from the sled. He started to get food for the dogs. While they ate it, he and Seeker put up Grandpa's old tent. They hammered the iron tent pegs deep into the ice in case a storm blew up while they were sleeping. Oh, look at the pugs having a snooze. When they had all had something to eat, Shen and Seeker crawled inside the tent and called the dogs in after them. They snuggled down in their sleeping bags. The sleepy pugs piled over them, and in a short time Shen was sleeping too. But Seeker could not sleep. She lay and looked at the embroidered patterns on the walls of the tent. A fallen northern light had wedged in a snowdrift nearby, and its glow came gently through the canvas. And from somewhere, not so nearby, very faintly through the frozen air came singing. Seeker slid out from under her coverlet of pugs, and they were so fast asleep they didn't notice her leaving. She went outside into the glowing night and started walking towards the sound of the singing. If she'd looked behind her as she walked, she would have seen that her footprints were quietly closing up, leaving the snow behind her as smooth and white as empty pages. There are 50 different kinds of snow in a true winter, and this was blind snow, the type that hides all tracks. But Seeker was not looking behind her. She kept her eyes on a jaggedy hill of shattered rock ahead. It would have been an island if the sea had been water instead of ice. It seemed to her that the singing was coming from behind it. A green glow shone from behind it too, as if a really big bit of northern lights had fallen there. She scrambled up between rocks and looked. There stood a huge old ship, completely trapped in ice. The name painted on its rusty stern said, Hope. Suddenly, Seeker remembered something her grandpa had told her about. A lot of the teams that he'd raced against had got sidetracked to somewhere called the Lost Hope and had never been seen again. She hadn't realised that the Lost Hope was a ship. She went a little closer. Parked beside the ship were 3 sleds. There was the high-tech sled of Shackleton Jones with its robot dogs waiting motionless. Next to it stood the ancient bog oak sled of Helga Hammerfest, and Mitzi von Prim's pink designer sled. Mitzi's dog team and Helga's polar bears snoozed beside them, but there was no sign of their owners. Above the sleds, fragments of fallen northern light had been hung up along one of Hope's rusty side. That was where the green glow came from. The lights spelled out 3 words. Yeti Noodle Bar. What a strange place for a noodle bar, she said to herself. Who would sell noodles all the way out here? A huge, hairy white hand reached out from behind a rock and grabbed her by the hood of her anorak. A huge, hairy white voice rumbled in her ear. Yetis would. That's the end of chapter 8, and I'm going to say goodbye, have a lovely day, and see you very soon. Bye.